And we're back with another day in the market. Today was a red day. It was bloody. It was a little bit more bloody than what we've been used to for 2023, actually, because we have been going on quite a tear. And so we're going to cover some of the big popular stocks. We're going to also cover Bitcoin, which is where we're going to start. And then I just wanted to point out or recap some of the trade callouts I've made recently, and something that's pretty interesting on the latest one that I've made. So stick around at the end of the video for that. So let's not waste too much time getting right into it. So first of all, we have Bitcoin. This is on the daily, and if we just zoom out a little bit, you will notice that we have a pretty steady trend line bouncing off of this HA market bias indicator, and any sort of touch to the market bias indicator would be a really good buy signal. Now we were slowly reaching it, and while we didn't necessarily crash, we're only down 1.74%. We erased what looked like it could have been an early sort of bounce, almost because everyone else was kind of playing off of like probably the 200 moving average or something like that. And this day yesterday right here, it almost looked like we were just going to come up early and kind of have a lot of the bulls miss the boat, and we ended up with a doji, so it was more of an indecision than anything, and it wasn't like there was something way down, you know, the 28,000 level or anything. So let's kind of just look at the technicals. You know, this is a win-win in my opinion if you want to enter in Bitcoin, because if it continues lower, previous data has shown that is a good time to enter once it reaches that green market bias indicator and shows a bounce. It's important. You got to see the bounce off of it. So that's a win if we're going lower. If we're going higher, this almost can act as a bounce itself. So if this price action reaches above these two moving averages and the blue 7-period moving average reaches above this yellow moving average, let me just get rid of the price action for a second so you can see what I'm talking about, and zoom in here. If this blue line reaches above that yellow line, that would be a signal to enter. And if we pull up the MACD, the MACD line is below the 0 line. So if that were to occur as far as these guys right here, these moving averages, this would eventually cross back above the 0 line, this MACD line. And when that happens, that would be an entry. So you would see what we wanted to see with the moving averages. Turn the price action back on. You'd see what we would want to see with the market bias indicator, the MACD, and then of course the RSI would be showing support off of the yellow moving average. So I like where Bitcoin is at right now on the daily. Zoom out to the weekly real quick, and we're still red on the weekly. So there is time to get into it if you are bullish on Bitcoin and if you want to get back into it for the long haul and reach next parabolic phase. You're not late to the game. Despite what everyone that's in Bitcoin already is going to tell you, you're not late to the game. Okay, so let's get into NVIDIA. Juicy NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, this is on the weekly. If you don't remember, we started to short actually a long time ago at this point. Let's go down the daily so we can be a little bit more specific. We shorted a little bit around this divergence right here, and we ended up selling out, or actually no, it was this divergence. Ended up selling out for a small loss. As you can see, it didn't go up too crazy. Ended up getting out before earnings, which is important, and that's why you should like and follow this channel, because we always have important tips for you. And if you like this video, it is the easiest way to help out the channel. It helps tremendously. So please hit that like button if you see any value in this channel. But with that said, we have once again bearish divergence. Let me grab this guy right here. Bearish divergence on the MACD. we are still above the 0 line on both the RSI and the MACD, but you can see how we're trending higher as far as the price action, and we're trending lower as far as the MACD, and overall the histograms have pretty red. So that was indicating a potential change in reversal, and actually called that out in a couple videos ago. So go check that out. Should just find it in my videos. It should be the last NVIDIA video that I made. So anyways, this was a pretty impulsive move to the downside. Now, this uptrend before has given little indications that, oh, maybe we're going down. Kind of something like this guy right here looked a little bearish. This looked bearish. This looked bearish. And of course, this looks bearish. So we are getting mixed signals. Obviously, we're above the market bias indicator. So that makes it a little tricky to go short. If you do believe that NVIDIA is heading lower, go down to the smaller time frames, something like, I think it's just the hourly at this point. Sorry, that's my dog playing with his dog ball, so forgive me. Even then, that's still green, but probably what's going to happen is if this bounces up and then gets rejected, this is going to turn red, and then you can play that red point. Now, just keep in mind, this is what can happen when you're still above the market bias indicator on higher time frames. So it's more of a short-term move, but it could potentially turn into a longer-term move. Who knows? So let me just go back out here and just kind of recap everything as far as the technicals. So we are bullish on the market bias indicator, but that isn't necessarily telling me anything too much, just because we're just so overbought on it, that this could come back down and really give you some nice profits if you shorted it that ended up meeting the market bias indicator. But I wouldn't stay in a short. If you do enter one, I wouldn't stay in a short past hitting this or even getting close to it. You can sell out and then reassess from there. The MACD is bearish right now, except for the fact that we are still above that 0 line. So technically, the MACD, as far as the 0 line is concerned, is still in an uptrend. And same deal with the RSI. It'll be interesting to see whether we come up and then get rejected off of this moving average or not, or if we kind of bounce back up and recover. That's really going to tell you some key indications of whether or not we're heading lower or not. So that's Bitcoin, that is NVIDIA, and Pltr has made some news lately because it has gone from $8.70 a share to a high of $20.30 a share. So that is about 2x profits right now. There was a lot of buzz on Pltr, especially I started hearing people on YouTube, social media talking about it yesterday a lot, which is kind of funny. They were talking about a bullish sentiment. So it's kind of funny that we had a red day down 5% on it. That's how it goes sometimes, I suppose. As far as the technicals, though, let's take a look at it here. So we are bullish as far as the 2 moving averages. We're bullish as far as the HA market bias indicator. And by the way, if you want to kind of just learn this system here, this point right here would have been an entry as far as my strategy is concerned. Reason being is that's when we are green on the market bias indicator. This triangle right here is something I made to help me actually just see the MACD crossing more easily. It's right here, MACD cross. I actually haven't made it public, but I should, just so anyone can use it if they want. But otherwise, you just have to look at the MACD and see when it crosses. So it crossed this blue line right here, crossed on the 9th of January, February, March, April, May. I had to think for a second. May. So actually, let me bring that up really quick. It crossed the 9th. So it must be, yeah, it would be the close. I didn't make it for the close. So it's going to show up as the 10th right here. So that's your entry signal. So we're bullish as far as these guys. We're bullish as far as this guy. We're bullish as far as this guy. And then the RSI, you like to see it above the 0 line, just like the MACD. But really what I use it for is, one, seeing support and resistance off of this moving average, and then two, just kind of seeing how overbought and oversold we are. So it's, I don't want to say it's an afterthought, but it kind of is an afterthought. So the one thing you have to keep in mind as far as an entry position on the daily is going to the weekly at least, if not the monthly, but going at least to the weekly and seeing where you are. Now, Palantir is relatively new as far as being public, not necessarily as a company, but being public. So it doesn't have the market bias indicator, at least on the weekly. But this, so unfortunately, you default to not using it. But you can kind of tell where it would be. If we can just draw something up, let's just maybe use highlighter. You would probably show something like, I have no idea how this is going to show up. Okay, something probably like this. Maybe it would have came down, something like that. It most likely would have done. I don't know if it would have been necessarily that volatile, but nonetheless, at the very least, this last part right here, it probably would have shown something like that. So we would probably be looking, if we did actually have one, a market bias indicator there, we probably would be looking at being over it anyways. But you do want to actually, it's important to look at the weekly. It's not an indication necessarily that you can't get into a trade, a short or a long position, but it's pretty important. You don't want to just skip over it. So that brings me to my last point, and a very important point. I want to just recover real quick some stocks that I called out. So Micron was one that I did actually get into, and I sold for a little bit of a profit. And you can see on the weekly here, see we're still red right here. So I was watching that, kind of made me a little nervous to stay into it, even though everything on the daily is still technically okay. I figured that I entered here and I closed sometime today. I'd have to go back and see exactly where I did, but I know it was for a small profit. So it was somewhere along here, somewhere between 68.12 and 69.81. Because if the market goes down, this can definitely go down. And you can see how much this actually went down today, 3.66%. So I'm going to watch it. I'd like to get back into it. We're going to watch it. The other one is ADMA. So this one does look pretty nice on the weekly, actually. I did, again, end up closing out on the daily for a profit, a little bit of a profit, not as much as it could have if I would have closed out yesterday. But reason being is because we're on the top part of these, the highs and lows that we're going right now. We're on the top part of the latest one. And overall, the market had a pretty poor day today. And if the market is going to continue its downside, even if it's a breather, especially this one being a lower volume stock, just more volatility, this thing could go down pretty significantly. And I would rather get out now, take the profit, and wait to get back in when it's lower and when I'm confident that this is actually going to continue to the upside. And so what's interesting is BRFS, which is a ticker I called out in a community post. So make sure to watch those. I've been trying to put out some trade alerts so I can get them to you as soon as possible. So what is interesting is this one actually just very recently turned to a buy signal. As I've said multiple times, what our entry points are and what our entry criteria is. So I don't need to re-explain it. And fresh off the bat, we are seeing actually up 1.48% today. as the rest of the market was red. So that's really good, actually, as far as a bull case for BRFS. And I think one reason why is just because we just reached this criteria right here. And other people and institutions that are trading this might just have a lot of money in it that they don't want to necessarily just sell out right away. So that is pretty interesting. To be honest, I don't know if this is going to continue or not. If the S&P 500 goes down, I would venture to guess it's not, but you never know. I mean, it could continue and it could be a diamond in the rough. But I want to just say, you know, start maybe thinking about what it would look like for you to short some stocks, what you would want to short if the market is going to, in the next month or so, or over the next month or so, take a pretty significant breather. Is there something that is really juicy to set up? And maybe when you go to your stock screener, instead of looking for something that is going above the zero line on the MACD, look for something that is going below the zero line on the MACD. So that's my pretty important tip of the day for you. Again, if you like this video, the easiest and best way you can help out the channel is by hitting the like button. And if you like all of my content, you want to see more trade alerts, hit the subscription bell and also hit the notification bell so that you can see all of my latest content. Just try it out for a while. If you you watching some of my videos, decide it's not for you, that's okay, but hit that subscription bell and just give me a chance. Just some guy on YouTube giving my opinion, just like every other stock YouTube channel out there. But with that said, I will see you next time. Thank you.